Hello, friends. This is Sam Chaney reporting for Weaponized News. Today, May 9th, 2025. Thank you for joining us on this Friday edition of Weaponized News. Mother's Day weekend. Hug your mothers out there. What do we got today? Quite a bit, actually, for a Friday. Usually, they drop some bombshell on a Friday that they don't want to talk about. Not really so much today. But a lot going on in the news. What's going on with flights in America? The Newark, New Jersey airport is having a lot of issues. We'll get to that reporting. As they're doing away with the old systems and bringing in the new AI systems here now for total control. As we continue to report here for you at Weaponized News, a lot of these systems are very old, antiquated, but it also begs the question, are these, quote, crises engineered by design? We'll go over some of that. The outage at the Newark, New Jersey airport. Thankfully, there was no accidents that I saw reported anywhere. The big news that just came out a few hours before we came on the air here with you, these Democrats are arrested, not for the reasons we want, for new crimes. Their crimes are legion, all of government. Maybe we can have the government enforcers, the guys with the badge, arrest all of the corrupt government and then resign. And that would be the greatest solution ever. Of course, that would never happen. But if we were in our utopian dystopic nightmare to white pill everybody, that would be the dream. Law enforcement arrest all the corrupt politicians and government people and then resign. And then maybe we won't blame you for your corruption. We can all dream, can't we? Okay, so yeah, all these Democrats, multiple Democrats, members of Congress, the mayor of Newark, coincidentally, isn't that a strange coincidence? The airport outage and then all these Democrats in Newark, New Jersey also are, they're protesting, trespassing at an ICE detention facility in Newark, New Jersey. We have video of that. Go over the arrests. We want them arrested for other corruption. This is new corruption. It's like every second of every day they commit a new crime. So at any given time, you could go ahead and arrest them on conspiracy and public corruption charges. Their crimes are legion here now. That's all of government, law enforcement out there. If you're listening, I'm sure you already know this, but friendly reminder from Weaponized News. We don't have enough courts or prisons for all the corruption in our government at this point. It's literally beyond the pale. But America loves it, apparently. America loves corruption. That's why we're a big pro-corruption broadcast here now. We got economic news. How is it going to sort out the Chinese-American trade talks in Switzerland? I don't know. We're bracing for shortages here, possibly, potentially, with many reports that the imports coming in are not coming in at all, or the ships are half full. There's reports of cargo thieves attacking U.S. supply chain. Our own president, Trump's attacking the supply chain. So, attacks coming from all angles there. So it's always good to be prepared for any occasion. And now would be a good one as well to be prepared with your basics. Your 5 basics of prepping. I forget even what they are off the top of my head. We used to go over it all the time. I think we expanded it to 7. Was it Band-Aids, beans, bullets, bullion, and barter? That's the 5 off the top of my head. And we expanded it to 2 more. And I can't remember Bitcoin, and there's one more I can't remember off the top of my head. But it's always good to be prepared for whatever may come our way here. Engineered crises by man, by government, or a act of God could also happen out there. So it's always good to be prepared. What the hell is going on there in Pakistan and India? It looks like a full-on war to me. That's in the headline. And, well, they're shooting each other. Indian and Pakistan troops swap intense artillery fire. That's a headline out of the AP. We got a lot to report about that. So there's a war going on right there. Two nuclear powers. And so I halfway want them to nuke each other to prove this whole canard of is the radiation fallout from nuclear weapons legitimate or not? You know what I mean? That's a big question out there. I really don't want them to nuke each other, but that would prove it one way or another, I think. I don't think it will go there, but who knows? Who knows, man? They're shooting at each other right now. Shooting rockets, missiles. Pakistan talking a big game. They say they can stop hypersonic missiles. I have my doubts about that, but that's what they're claiming. So all of that to report on. It's quite sad. I wish people would stop killing each other, but apparently that's the way of the world. All wars are bankers' wars. If we dig in, I'm sure you'll find the bank of somewhere is profiting handsomely, and the military-industrial complex off of these wars. They love it. What is going on there? Well, Russia, we still don't know the back and forth. There's reports that maybe, possibly, UK and France have brokered a 30-day ceasefire. It's tentative right now. On the threat of more sanctions against Russia. That's being tentatively reported out there on the interwebs. I don't think anything's concrete yet. As Russia has its Victory Day parade honoring the 80th anniversary of victory over Nazism in World War II. Many would say that the Nazism just went underground. And did it even go underground in Ukraine? There's a bunch of Nazis right in Ukraine right there, literally laughing in our face about the whole charade. As is now, I think, well understood, we imported many Nazis under Operation Paperclip into the United States after World War II. So is Nazism defeated or just transferred to America and the rest of the world? Xi and Putin hanging out. Of course, Putin, the most evil man in the world, hanging out there in at the Victory Day celebrations. We got video of that to go over. We got a breakdown about the deepening ties. Did I lose it? Shouldn't have scrolled there. Now I'm gonna have to go back and find it. The deepening ties between Russia and Ukraine, or I'm sorry, Russia and China. Now I lost the clip. That's going to be a pain to go back and find. Anyway, I think I know where to find it. And then, yeah, it's being admitted here. It's being called out that, like if we didn't already know, but it's being even deeper dive. I don't know how you say it. It's being revealed now, again, that UK is supplying munitions for the genocide in Gaza. Yeah, the United States is as well. And as we continue to report, the intelligence agencies sitting on top of the whole thing, puppeteering it. Yemen is belligerent. Yemen claims they defeated the United States. Looks like they did. We're not bombing them anymore. Trump says no more bombing in Yemen. And Yemen is out there bragging about it. Yemen is saying they're threatening Aardvark land right now. They say you are no longer safe. this is only the beginning. And they show targets all over Aardvark land. A beach was cleared. The beach at Tel Aviv under air raid sirens as the IDF says they intercepted a missile shot from Yemen. Is any of this true? Who knows? You know what I mean? Is this just part of the fear campaign to keep the Aardvarks in line there? I don't know. This is what's being reported, but we have to ask these questions now, don't we? So, and, well, we'll get to the reports. A lot out of Yemen today. Yemen had another million-man march there in Yemen. I'm waiting for Aardvark to just bomb that march and wipe them all out efficiently. We haven't seen that happen yet. Then what else do we got for you today? A lot of Aardvark news is back and forth. Of course, more calling out of the genocide. It's self-evident at this point for anyone paying attention. And then we have the scientific dictatorship Technocracy reporting about Palantir leading up the AI front on that project. We have a report for the end of the show. What does Palantir actually do? About an 18-minute report that is pretty good, pretty well put together. A little bit of a deeper dive there. What do they actually do? Well, the CEO, Alex Karp, admits they kill people. So that's one thing they do. But we'll take a little deeper look into what does Palantir actually do besides kill people. And so on this day of history of May 9th, I got to go to it because I was too lazy to write a lot of this down. My hand was tired, actually. Too much time on the mouse here. Let me go back to it. Again, shout out to everybody tuning in. I see people on the X. Shout out to you guys tuning in on the X more than usual. Maybe the shadow ban throttling something, I don't know, has been lifted. I don't know. But thank you guys for tuning in on the X. Are we on the old Rumble? We've been having problems on Rumble. Let me take a check there. Or I could check the chat. Nope, it doesn't look like we are. We're having issues on Rumble today. I hope that we're streaming there. Sending data, it says great. That's our best chat and everything going on is on Rumble. Rumble's still having issues. That sucks. Looks like we're good everywhere else except for Rumble. And now it's not even loading for me. Great. Apologies to the Rumble audience there. We'll have to sort that out possibly during the broadcast. Apologies. Continuing here on this day, going back to the year, all the way back here. Let me get this right for you. All the way back to the year 1386. On this day, the world's oldest treaty was signed. Treaty of Windsor between Portugal and England is ratified at Windsor, cementing and strengthening ties between the two kingdoms. The treaty guarantees the mutual security of both nations and strengthens commercial ties. It is the oldest diplomatic alliance still in force, all the way back to 1386. What is up with Rumble today? It won't even load for me. Well, that really sucks because we have a lively Rumble chat usually going on here. Something's up with Rumble. Continuing on this day, in 1754, we saw the first newspaper cartoon in America. This famous image, let me put it on the screen. Join or Die, talking about the colonies and fighting the Revolutionary War against the UK. This famous cartoon, the first American political cartoon published in America. First newspaper cartoon in America, A Divided Snake with the words "Join or Die" by Benjamin Franklin. It's published on this day in the Pennsylvania Gazette, 1754. In 1768, The Liberty Affair, it's called. John Hancock pays duties on 25 pipes of wine, only 1/4 of his ship's carrying capacity. British officials accuse him of unloading the rest during the night to avoid paying duties on the entire cargo. 1885 on this day is commonly accepted as the date of the end of the American Civil War. President Andrew Johnson issues a proclamation declaring that armed resistance in the South is virtually at an end. In 1914, U.S. President Woodrow Wilson proclaims Mother's Day on this day. So again, hug your mother this Mother's Day. It looks like Rumble's down. I don't know. I can't even get any action on Rumble right now. Very bizarre. Let's check another. Yeah, it's not me. It's Rumble. Very bizarre indeed. Okay, continuing. In 1945, Soviet Union celebrates Victory Day in World War II. In 1945, Hermann Goering is captured by the U.S. Army, wrapping up World War II. In 1960, U.S. becomes first country to legalize birth control. In 1961, FCC chairman Newton N. Murrow criticizes TV as a, quote, vast wasteland during a speech before the National Association of Broadcasters. In 2007, Trump fires FBI Director Comey. In 2018, U.S. leaves Iran nuclear deal under the Trump administration. And now we're back trying to make another nuclear deal. I thought they were going to have nukes in 2 weeks if we didn't get them under control. Turns out we don't have a nuclear deal, and they haven't nuked Aardvarks yet. We're waiting. We're promised by Lindsey Graham that this indeed would happen if we don't bomb them. Hasn't happened. In 2023, former Pakistani Prime Minister Imran Khan was arrested, near and dear to Simon's heart out there. I know he had followed that story very closely and didn't agree with the lawfare being used there in Pakistan, tying into the central war with India today. And in 2023, Trump is found guilty of sexually abusing E. Jean Carroll in a New York court in order to pay $5 million for battery and defamation. Yeah, Rumble won't even load. I can't even load the website. I don't know what is up with it, but appears that Rumble's down today. That's not good for Weaponized News broadcast. We will load the show on Rumble later, apparently. Will be our only option, as I can't even get Rumble to load up here. Something is going on at Rumble. They're maybe under some type of cyber attack. I don't know. Let me check one more time here, and then we'll get into the show. Apologies. The perils of live streaming. And yeah, Rumble's down. Very bizarre. So no Rumble today. Sorry, folks. And that's our loyal listening audience on Rumble and in the chat. So I do feel bad about that. We miss you guys in the chat. I do see Aline there on the YouTube. Hello, Aline. All right, let's get to all this news. What is our segue? Well, I do have this clip, luckily, that I accidentally reset. Here's our segue. This has experts baffled. We don't know what happened. Former Trump official Cameron Kinsey fainted last night on Fox News. Here's our segue into the Friday news for you.
Ideology, or it's not about.
Oh my goodness! We're just going to get some help here for Cameron. Let me come back to Lydia while we get some help for Cameron here. Lydia, the President, we're going to go to a break right here. We'll be right back.
I don't know. We saw this phenomenon happen during the, during the miracle period. A lot of people just falling out like that. But of course, it wasn't the miracle, and we would never claim as such. And could be another case. Could be the jitters. Could be dehydration. We honestly don't know. But the number one suspect has to be the miracle. Okay. So that was a nice segue to President Trump and First Lady Melania Trump honor military mothers at the White House. Here's some advice. Mothers, don't let your children join the military. War's a racket, and it'll destroy their lives. And yeah, we're anti-war here at Weaponized News, and never will be for any of these wars for empire and banking. It's just, it's too much, man. It's too much. So mothers, don't let your children join the military. Okay, what is going on here in Newark? Radar screens at Newark Airport went black again overnight. Let's watch this report out of ABC News. So there's quite a bit actually going on at Newark. Well, that didn't work. They gave us something else besides the report there on this video. Anyway, continuing, radar screens at New Jersey's Newark Liberty International Airport went black early Friday morning. The outage happened at 3:55 a.m. and lasted 90 seconds. The Federal Aviation Administration said air traffic controllers could be heard telling a FedEx plane that their screen went dark, and then asking the aircraft to tell their company to put pressure on to get the problem fixed. In another transmission, a controller told an arriving private jet that the airport just had a brief radar outage and to stay at or above 3,000 feet in case the controllers couldn't get in touch during the aircraft's descent. The FAA called it a telecommunications outage that impacted communications and radar display at Philadelphia Trucon Area C, which is a facility that covers the airspace around Newark. Last week, an outage at Newark caused ATC computer screens to go dark for roughly 60 to 90 seconds and prevented controllers from talking to aircraft during that time, according to multiple reports. As a result, the FAA briefly halted all departures to the airport. Following the outage, several controllers went on medical leave, calling the experience a traumatic event. The controllers are entitled to at least 45 days away from the job and must be evaluated by a doctor before they can return to work. 45-day vacation, too much stress. I see. Changes include swapping out old telecommunications for new fiber wires, and satellite technologies, installing new modern hardware and software, replacing 618 old radars, and building 6 new air traffic control centers, and replacing towers, the Department of Transportation said is going to be their solution. So, yeah, we're going to have to see how this sorts out and hope no one is injured in the process of trying to update the control systems there for the aircraft. And of course, we need to have the total AI control system in place before they can fully implement our enslavement. So expect that, probably run by Palantir, dare I say. Here's I don't want to spend that much time on it. It's not that thrilling, honestly, of a story. But anyway, that happened. And coincidentally enough, also in Newark, this happened. Multiple Democrat members of Congress, along with the Democrat mayor of Newark, New Jersey, have been arrested for criminal trespassing at the ICE Center in Newark, New Jersey. The arrests were carried out by the Department of Homeland Security. Here's some video of what all of this trespassing arrest was about. Because God forbid we detain illegal aliens and deport them in America. This is literally the hill that Democrats are dying on. I don't get it, but I guess they have illegals, a big illegal alien voter base. I don't get it.
Get off of her! You cannot push it! You cannot hold this! You can't push members of Congress!
This is peaceful! You are fascists!
Get off of her!
Ready. Okay, fine. There's no sense to get this peace.
Don't talk here! Don't talk here! You are escalating the situation! Don't tell him you can't put a hand on there! They cannot! Fuck you! This is a section! And you better not touch her either!
So there's video of the incident, some video of the incident. Coming out of the White House now. Today, Democrat officials riotlessly, is that a word? Riotlessly stormed and invaded an ICE facility to secure the release of the fallen criminals and terrorists here illegally. It's crazy, man. Here they are, who they wanted freed. This guy, Caballero, he's in custody pending removal. Known active MS-13 gang member. Ramos Martin is wanted in Brazil for homicide and has an Interpol red notice. These are just some of them, the worst, right? That they can verify. Verified MS-13 gang member here. Santa Maria. Estevez Bello. It's from Dominican Republic. Has multiple felony convictions for possession of controlled and dangerous substances, drug trafficking, resisting arrest, possession of weapon. So he's probably working for the government with the drug charges there. This guy, Nunez, citizen of Dominican Republic, has a felony arrest for possession of controlled dangerous substance. Probably also working with the government to ship the drugs in. But anyway, those are some of the detainees at the ICE detention center in Newark, New Jersey, that are looking to be deported, that the Democrats are storming the place to have freed. Bizarre. Bizarre indeed. What else do we got from that? Yeah, that's about it. We still are not getting mass deportations. Alina Habib, she's now she's a Fed prosecutor there in New Jersey area, right? She was appointed a couple weeks ago to that position. Let's hear from the U.S. attorney there. It's a Fox News clip.
New Jersey joining me again. So Alina, you heard their descriptions of what happened. They said that the mayor was outside the fence and that he was taken away by 20 armed individuals and that they were all intimidated by federal officials on this property. What do you say?
I'm going to say the truth and correct them. I'm sorry that you're trying to politic this. Let me be very clear. You're right. Congress people have the right to investigate, and we allowed them in, number one. Number two, the mayor was actually inside the facility, was warned, was asked to leave several times, more than once, refused to leave, was put under arrest inside the facility, walked out when he was told he was under arrest, and then was cuffed. That is what happened. Lucky for our team in HSI, who I stand behind, who many people don't understand, the Department of Justice encompasses that. They did absolutely everything correct. If you look at these individuals' Twitter accounts, they have been openly saying they're going to go in. There is a reason these Congress people are standing out there running amok and running their mouths as usual. But however, I will tell you this. The mayor was inside, was told he was going to be under arrest inside when he refused to leave after several obligations, several notifications that he should remove himself, chose not to do so, and then was placed under arrest when he walked out of the facility. So while I love the scheme, the game, and the tactics of these individuals that are perfectly fine and were not touched, I will say very clearly, the mayor
They were
did
not
have
assaulted,
a right to be
these three individuals? None of them were assaulted?
Does
This is what they said.
They were assaulted, Martha?
No, they looked
Does it look
fine.
like
But
looked
I'm
absolutely
asking,
fine?
you know, in terms of what happened in there, you know, it is very striking, especially after having read the list of at least some of the people who are in this facility. And
Right.
I'm trying to figure out exactly what they are doing to protect the people of New Jersey.
It's called grandstanding, unfortunately, Martha. And when you break the law, there's no grandstanding that will help you. Period. The end.
Alina Habib, the interim U.S. attorney.
A lot of nonsense going on there in Newark. Judge orders immediate release of Rumsey Ozturk, tough student detained by ICE. U.S. District Court Judge William Sessions III said her detention over an op-ed could chill the speech of millions and millions of non-citizens. She was the one, remember, the unidentified federal agents walked up to her and grabbed her off the street. Remember that video a few weeks ago? For criticism of, well, she was unlawfully detained, according to this U.S. district judge, in March for little more than authoring an op-ed critical of Aardvark land in her school newspaper. Little Marco Rubio, Secretary of State, has revoked Ozturk's visa, saying her continued presence in the United States was contrary to American foreign policy interests, part of a wave of similar visa terminations targeting students who had criticized Aardvark land or joined pro-Palestinian protests. Trump shut out refugees, but is making white South Africans an exemption. Federal and Virginia state officials are preparing to receive about 60 white South Africans at Dulles International Airport next week. Government documents and emails show, according to the Washington Compost here. So plans are underway to fly approximately 60 Afrikaners Afrikaners to Dulles International Airport on a State Department chartered plane Monday, with federal and Virginia officials preparing to receive them in a ceremonial news conference. The arriving families, who are part of a group that Trump has said face racial discrimination, will then be resettled outside Virginia in at least 7 other states. The U.S. government is prioritizing the resettlement of Afrikaner refugees, and the Office of Refugee Resettlement is coordinating services to ensure they receive the support they need from the very initial days of their arrival. Well, I mean, they are white, so I mean, yeah, pretty racist there, right? U.S. Customs and Border Protection plans to photograph everyone exiting the U.S. by car. And so again, is that wall being built at the southern border to keep them out or to keep us in, as the technocracy is cranking up? Well, more on that when we get into that. But we're seeing here now the scientific dictatorship come into fruition as half of America cheers it on and is blind to the fact that it's a double-edged sword they're using against us here now. And it's the government. Biden administration did their part. Now Trump administration is doing their part. You see how this all works. All to push us toward total enslavement. That's how this is all working out here now. Don't be fooled. So allegedly, Trump to build National Center for Homeless Veterans with funds previously spent on housing for illegal aliens. Well, if this is true, and it's not some other boondoggle scam insider deal, then it sounds good to me. But you got to be critical of every single thing this government does, because there's always some angle, some insider is profiting from it. It's never for the people, never for the veterans. You know what I mean? So it sounds good on its face. Yeah, give veterans housing priority over illegal aliens, but there's always a hitch to it, to everything that the government does, right? And again, don't join the military to fight for bankers. War's a racket. Sorry to tell you. It's not your patriotic duty. Go read Smedley Butler's War is a Racket book. I beg of you. Okay, we're going through here nicely. Rumble is down. I'm trying to load it here, and I can't even load Rumble. So isn't that, they had to take Rumble down so we couldn't live stream on there. Weaponized News couldn't live stream on there. Now I think it's probably a lot bigger than Weaponized News, but yeah, Rumble's down. Very sad. Again, as I continue to try to load it up there. But yeah, no Rumble. Okay, continuing here. We got economic news. Farmers First Friday, the White House tells us here. Brooke Rollins, Ag Secretary. Really? Well, we've went over how the Farm Bill is a big boondoggle. We didn't even go in depth. We just scratched the surface, peeled off one little thin layer of the onion there. And so, yeah, it is a giant pork spending bill, the Farm Bill. So, yeah, I guess if you're being subsidized heavily by the federal government, then you would love them. Dare I say, a lot of farmers do have high integrity and don't want to be subsidized and want to make it in a free market, but there is no free market because it's heavily manipulated by the government, you see. Farmers First Friday. Well, how about you cut the GMO production there and the pesticide spraying and the destruction of our food supply and environment like this. Yeah, not much mention out of the Trump administration or Maha for that, for any of that. And so we sit and wait as they fight about who's going to be the next puppet working for the government to continue the corruption racket, and then say they care about our health. Melania Trump secures, according to the White House, $25 million dollars in investment for fiscal year 2026 budget for foster youth. Not a bad thing, right? But again, with all these deals, who's the insiders? Who's getting the sweetheart deals? Who's getting the kickbacks, right? And so none of this stuff is clean. With all their righteous causes, right? None of this stuff is clean. Somebody, somewhere, a cousin, an uncle, a business partner, a friend, an insider is making a handsome profit off of all of this. According to the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, more than 20,000 young people transition out of foster care each year. A significant percentage of these youth face housing insecurity and or homelessness. It is a real problem, no doubt about that. And so this is an effort to help the foster children transition into some type of stable living condition as an adult, which is a righteous cause indeed. No problem with that here. But again, the problem comes with somebody is making a handsome profit on it. You better believe it. Dealmaker in chief, Trump says trade deals in the hopper, all good, great ones. Well, we shall see. We shall see how this all sorts out. Shall we not? Prepare. It's always good to be prepared. And now is especially good time to have a little bit in the tank, if you know what I mean. As we went over, the 5 B's of prepping: Band-Aids, beans, bullion, bullets, barter. Simple but effective. So aforementioned, there's a big meeting coming up here. What is it today now? In Switzerland. So it's going to be over this weekend. It might be happening right now, actually, in Switzerland. Treasury Secretary Bissett and U.S. Trade Representative Ambassador Greer will meet with lead representatives from China in Switzerland to try to sort out some type of trade deal so your kids can have 30 plastic dolls for Christmas instead of only 2, as Trump has stated previously. We'll see how all this sorts out. The budget, we went over it in detail when it was first suggested. Here's a graph to give us a better understanding about said budget and the increased militarization of America. And so social programs are being cut here, which may not be a bad thing, but we need to actually cut the entire government, because we've moved the waste, fraud, and abuse and grift from these departments up to these departments. The Pentagon, Department of Homeland Security, we need that like a hole in the friggin' head, has increased, or it's being proposed to increase its budget by 65%. And so you can see right here, these social programs, the largest cut is state and international programs. That's a lot of USAID, but don't you worry, it will be shifted around and hidden better. HUD, Housing and Urban Development, HHS, we can cut that whole thing. We can actually go through and just abolish about all of this and call it a day. call it a day, and we don't have to spend any of this money and bitch and complain about social programs being cut. Just abolish it all. And there you go. I know, too easy of a solution, right? But yeah, look for big increases, 13% increase in the Pentagon budget. They haven't passed. When's the last time they passed an audit? Years now. I didn't even look it up. I think it was like 2017, maybe, the last time that they even possibly passed the audit. You know what I mean? Throw another $1 trillion at them. They can't even account for any of the funds that they have now with $884 billion budget, and they can't even account for the money. You know what I mean? It's absurd on its face. They should get $0 until they can pass a financial audit and account for the money they already have. If we're being conservative fiscal stewards of taxpayer money, as Republicans claim that is their deal, you know what I mean? Then they would say no more money for any agency that can't pass a simple financial audit. Not going to happen, though. Not going to happen. So as we prepare, hopefully you're prepared. I'm prepared. What little I can be, what little we all can do, we should do. As the tariffs are slowing, and in some cases stopping import of goods, putting a stop on the supply chain here, as Trump is famous for doing with the lockdowns. And so it's kind of Trump's thing to put a wrinkle in our supply chain here of goods coming into America. And so we not only have that to deal with in the supply chain, but now a report out of CNBC says cargo thieves are attacking the U.S. supply chain at alarming rates. There's been a recent surge in cargo theft in which criminal networks in the United States and abroad exploit technology intended to improve supply chain efficiency and use it to steal truckloads of valuable products. Numerous experts, and we always trust the experts, they're consistently wrong about everything. Maybe not in this case. Well, they just throw out an estimate there. Numerous experts that spoke to CNBC estimate losses are close to $1 billion or more a year. They're insured. It may be inside jobs. Who knows? You know what I mean? All of this stuff, you got to take a second, third, fourth, fifth glance with your conspiratorial monocle and say, hey, maybe it is just thieves. But the way things are, you got to say, hey, maybe it's inside jobs for insurance claims, inside jobs to sell the goods on the black market and take your insurance claim for lost goods and then also double up. You see what I'm saying? Double dipping. I'm not saying any of this has happened. I'm saying it could potentially happen. And in this world of waste, fraud, and abuse and corruption, hey, it could very well happen. Cargo brokers of all sizes are working to address the rise in theft. They got a long report here, but again, the links to everything we talk about will be on Weaponized News Substack, so you could dive in deeper to any of these stories, as we're trying to cover as much as possible in a reasonable amount of time here at Weaponized News to keep you fully informed about the weaponization of government against us. So we're trying to cover as much information as humanly possible in the short allotted time that we have with you. Still testing Rumble, and it still appears to be down for me. Apologies again. At this point, I'm going to go ahead and take the commercial break. We're not quite at the top of the hour, but I blasted through a lot of that news for you and cut out some clips that are not really relevant, as I read you the majority of the information that we need to know. And again, go to Weaponized News Substack for deeper dives on all of this. Go to weaponizednews.com and get yourself some Weaponized News stickers. We have the holograph sticker, the white background, and we have another clear background one. Put it on your laptop, your guitar, your bumper, your Cybertruck, and spread the word about Weaponized News and trigger some anti-self-defense people and tell them this is a camera. Get your mind out of the gutter and don't be thinking that this is some type of bad thing. It's simply a camera, because we are independent media here, and everything has been weaponized against us, i.e. the logo, the name of Weaponized News. Here is our sponsor, and then we'll be back to international news about what the heck is going on there with India and Pakistan. They're shooting each other. It's called a war. Still dancing around calling it a war. Let's hope for de-escalation. But first, a word from our sponsor.
Running a small business feeling overwhelmed by numbers and paperwork? Abazaba Enterprises has your back. Our expert business solutions include accounting, QuickBooks support, payroll, taxes, and top-notch consulting. Let us handle the details so you can focus on growing your business. Business Solutions Accounting, QuickBooks Consulting, Payroll, Taxes. Call 559-577-9250. Call Abazaba Enterprises today at 559-577-9250.
And we're back. Thank you for joining us on this Friday edition of Weaponized News. As more people I see are piling in the stream on the X. We are down on Rumble. Okay, continuing here. Let's hear from Barbie Levette, White House press secretary, when asked about the India-Pakistan conflict. Let's hear what the White House has to say about it, and we'll get into more about it.
Can you give us an update on U.S. efforts to mediate or have an impact on the conflict between India and Pakistan?
Sure, I absolutely can. This is something that the Secretary of State and, of course, now our National Security Advisor as well, Marco Rubio, has been very much involved in. The President has expressed he wants to see this de-escalate as quickly as possible. He understands these are two countries that have been at odds with one another for decades, long before President Trump was here in the Oval Office. However, he has good relationships with the leaders of both countries, and the Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, I spoke to him just yesterday. He has been in constant communication with the leaders of both countries, trying to bring this.
There you go. Little Marco is going to sort it out for us. None of our business. Pakistan claims India launched 6 ballistic missiles at them. That's like heavy escalation. Let's go to that clip. We do have subtitles to translate in English for you.
शॉकिंग खबर देना चाहता हूं, इंडिया ने अब से थोड़ी देर पहले 6 बैलिस्टिक मिसाइल आदमपुर से फायर किए हैं। इनमें से 1 बैलिस्टिक मिसाइल आदमपुर में ही हिट किया है और बाकी 5 मिसाइल्स भारतीय पंजाब में अमृतसर के इलाके में हिट किए हैं। शॉकिंग खबर देना
Not good, man. Not good. India temporarily shuts 32 airports in north and west. All civilian flights canceled. Loud bombs are heard as India hunting Pakistani drones right now. This was reported 8 hours ago. And there's video. It was nighttime then there, 8 hours ago, and you can see the flashes in the sky. Not really that much to see on the video. AP says India and Pakistan troops swap intense artillery fire. See here. India and Pakistani soldiers exchange heavy volleys of shells and gunfire across their frontier in Kashmir overnight, killing at least 5 civilians in a growing military standoff that erupted following an attack on terrorists, as we have gone over here, what led to all of this. In Pakistan, an unusually intense night of artillery exchanges left at least 4 civilians dead and wounded 12 others in the area near the line of control that divides Kashmir, local police officials said. People in the border towns said the firing continues well into Friday morning there. Continuing here, 10 explosions heard near international airport in Kashmir as India and Pakistan trade blows with nations on the brink of war. Aren't they in a war? That's the Sun headline. If you're shooting each other, I think that's called a war, but we have this hesitancy to call it a war. Here's a nice little infographic that the Sun created to give us a little bit more understanding. Power struggle here, sitting on the brink, India and Pakistan, right? And so their military ranks, the active personnel, you can see India has way more, jet fighters more. So it appears India has the military advantage as far as numbers of military personnel and equipment. You can see here all the different, well, howitzers. Pakistan holds the advantage. And it looks like, well, the big one, the nukes right here, you know what I mean? So two big militaries with a lot of stuff to blow up stuff. Not good, man. Clashes continue between India and Pakistan. Forces in Uri, next to the line of control in India's Jammu and Kashmir. A video of that. I'm not going to play it. Here's another one. A drone struck at a border village of Kaprar in Pakistan's Sialkot district, Punjab province. There's not much to show. It's just like a courtyard. Well, what the hell will show it? But there's really not much. It's a courtyard, a camera on a courtyard, and it just goes blank when the drone hits it. But anyway, short clip. There you go. So that would tend to happen to your camera when it gets blown up. Pakistani locals in Lahore opened fire with rifles in an attempt to shoot down incoming Aardvark-made Har-op drone kamikaze drones from India. I guess we'll play you this clip. It's yeah, I mean, civilian defense forces, dare I say. Shooting rifles at drones. That's where we're at. NPR reports Vice President Vance, Black Eyeliner Man, and a puppet of Peter Thiel, says, India-Pakistan fight is none of our business. Well, I wholeheartedly agree with Vice President Vance. It is literally none of our business. But I'm sure we'll find some way to stick our nose in it as little Marco. I guess that's his job. So maybe we can excuse little Marco, Secretary of State, for sticking our nose in it. But man, that's the last thing we need, is to get involved in another war over someone else's border that's literally none of our business. So I agree with President Vance on that for sure. He said it's fundamentally none of our business. Agree there, Vance. Okay. Yep, Rumble is still down. So guys, apologies for the Rumble audience. Nothing I could do. It's not on my end even. It's Rumble is down. I can't even load it. Let me try one more time, and then I will forget about Rumble for the rest of the broadcast here, because it is frustrating. I do miss my Rumble chat. Oh, we're back up now. It just came back up. So let me see how the, are we able to broadcast there? Sending data, it says something's up with Rumble. Apologies for the technical issues. Well, now we're back. Now we are broadcasting on Rumble. Shout out to those tuning in on the Rumble. It just came back up for me. I see a few people tuning in there. Thank you guys for tuning in on this Friday edition of Weaponized News. It was something on Rumble's end. It wasn't me. Wasn't me. I blame Trump and Putin. All right. So that's good news. Rumble's back. Give me a shout out, something. Give me a troll, something from the chat. Maybe it's not back. I don't know. I don't see you guys in the chat. But as far as I can tell, it looks like something's going on here. Oh, there you guys are. I have to go there. But shout out to Chloe and my real name. It says watching on Rumble, been on the whole time. Well, okay. Well, but I did have a few Rumble issues earlier. Wow. Okay. Well, I guess not that many people tuned in to this Friday edition. I don't know. Anyway, thank you guys for tuning in. Continuing. Mexico sues Google over Gulf of America name change. So right here, you can't see it, but my map says Gulf of Mexico, right? Will I be sued for having this map? Luckily, you can't see it by the Trump administration. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that lawsuit sorts out. The U.S. Embassy in Kiev is warning right now about a possible Russian significant attack. What's your message to Putin? This is asked of Trump. Let's go to this clip.
The U.S. Embassy in Kiev is warning right now about possible Russian significant attack on Kiev. What's your message for Putin?
I have a message for both parties. Get this war ended. We're losing 5,000 soldiers a week, Russian and Ukrainian soldiers, and other people also, by the way. And I say, get this stupid war finished. That's my message for both of them. Thank you very much. We'll see you later.
I agree with President Trump there. Get the stupid war finished. Stop shooting each other. Well, they're in the middle of the war still there in Ukraine and Russia, but Russia saw fit to hold the 80th anniversary victory parade for defeat of Nazi Germany. Let's show a short clip of that, parading their military hardware there in Moscow. Oh, by the way, the reason I chose this clip is because this is the first time Russia has displayed drones during a military celebration. So you notice the drones there.
И баражирующих боеприпасов. Орлан-10, Орлан-30, Зала, Ланцет-51, Ланцет-52, Гарпия и Герань. Командует колонной старший лейтенант Григорий Теплых. Все беспилотники нашли широкое и эффективное применение в зоне специальной военной операции.
That's why I'm showing you Russian military equipment, because the drones. Here is, well, China and Russia, bestest of friends. This is Chinese embassy. They say, at the invitation of Russia's Ministry of Defense, 119 members of the People's Liberation Army Honor Guard took part in the Victory Day parade in Moscow, commemorating the 80th anniversary of the victory in the Soviet Union's Great Patriotic War. Let's see this. So China has their troops marching in Russia's 80th anniversary victory celebration over Germany. Sorry for the scratchy audio there. But yeah, there you go. You could see bestest of friends there as the new world order is taking shape. And as we discussed on yesterday's show with Denver, it's starting to look a whole lot like all this is on purpose. The whole thing. You could forget about nation states being at odds with each other. At some level they are, but at another higher level, the central banking level, dare I say, the funding mechanism for all of this, they're all good buddies in the same club. And the power, we're in a new era, as they told us as we continue to report, is shifting away from America and the West, and it's shifting to the Great Eurasian Partnership, as Simon continued to bang on about. And don't you worry, those same oligarch elite will be in control. It'll just be a different face on it than America and the rest of the West. And they'll probably try to wipe out a bunch of people along the way, don't you know, in some giant war. But it's appearing that is the way all this geopolitics is shaping up, as we continue to report here for you at Weaponized News. Here is a nice video of some of the celebrations there. Emotional scenes as fireworks light up the night sky in Vladgorod. Motherland Calls statue on the Mama Yev Kurg height honors 1 million plus Soviet soldiers who perished in Battle of Stalingrad in 1943. How come they're not crying about it every day like the 6 million guys? You know what I'm saying? Russia should cry every single day about the million soldiers they lost in just that one battle. You don't hear about it except for on these special events. You know what I mean? Commemorating the anniversary of their great victory over Germany. They should cry about it every single day and say, what are you, anti-Russian?
Были захвачены Прибалтика. Войска подошли осенью 1941 года. Советским войскам удалось отстоять столицу. Летом 1942 года в Польше, Германии, Чехословакии над миром реял краснозвездный флаг. Вдруг оживает незримой волной сталь Урала. Закипела польская вода, но выстоит великий наш солдат.
So quite a celebration going on there. Now we're at the point where we still have this video. Okay. Almost lost it, but I found it again, thankfully. Okay, here is a short clip of the German Marshall Fund telling us about Putin and Xi's deepening ties as we continue to report to you here at Weaponized News. Let's go to that clip.
With transatlantic relations in crisis, some European policymakers are arguing that this is the moment for a rapprochement with China. Xi Jinping's visit to Moscow this week illustrates not only why that is not a realistic option, but why Europe will need to move even faster to address the security risks posed by Beijing's support to Putin. Since Russia's invasion of Ukraine, China has been Moscow's most important enabler, supplying the overwhelming majority of deliveries to Russia's war machine. From the microelectronics powering Russian weapon systems to the excavators digging trenches for Russian soldiers. Bilateral trade has exploded, making Russia the fastest growing export and import destination for China since the invasion. The danger for Europe is only expected to grow. European intelligence services estimate that Russia is putting itself in a position to launch a wider war against NATO in the years ahead. As Moscow builds its capabilities to threaten the European continent, there is little question who its principal economic, technological, and military-industrial backer will be. Xi continues to see Putin as China's most critical strategic partner in the struggle against Western hegemony. Two questions follow for European China policy in the years ahead. First, policymakers will have to decide whether Beijing should pay a greater price if it chooses to threaten the wider European security order so directly. Second, should Europe treat exposure to Chinese technology with far greater caution? In peacetime, the risk of Chinese kit in European digital infrastructure, for instance, was understood at most as an espionage problem. Chinese telecom networks, Chinese wind turbines, Chinese PV inverters for solar power systems, and Chinese connected vehicles all leave Europe vulnerable to decisions in Beijing about whether crucial parts of its energy and communications infrastructure are disrupted or even disabled. Member states have to decide whether these choices should be left in the hands of Russia's most important backer, or, as the threats to Europe grow, it is instead time to double down on China de-risking, not to be exploring closer ties. If you want to learn more about the changing Russia-China relationship and how it impacts Europe and the transatlantic relationship, make sure to follow our
Well, we continue to report here for you at Weaponized News. The new World Order is coming into fruition here. Here's a shot of them, Putin and Xi, and some old Russian dude with a lot of medals at the victory parade. There they are, yucking it up. But Europe needs the threat out there of the boogeyman, the big Russian bear, and China as well, so they can continue their militarization as well. All right, we blasted through quite a bit today. We're wrapping it up with the Aardvark section of the show. Let's start with this. It's now coming out. Investigative journalist at Drop Site spoke to Palestine Deep Dive about his investigative work for Drop Site News, co-authored by Abdullah Sabir and Ines Corey, which reveals the UK secretly approved over 8,000 munitions exports to Aardvark land after Labour publicly claimed it had frozen arms shipments. UK government sent thousands of munitions to Aardvark land despite ban. Shocking. They lied. I know. Let's watch this report.
Britain's Labour government claims it has stopped the export of weapons to Israel that could be used in Gaza. But a new report out today shows that was a lie. The new revelation shows that over 8,000 munitions of war were exported to Israel from the UK from September 2024 to February 2025. I'm delighted to welcome into our new studio Palestine Deep Dive's latest addition to the team, the veteran investigative journalist Matt Kennard, who today published an exclusive piece on this report for Dropsite News in the US. Matt, thank you very much for joining us today.
Good to be with you.
So Matt, tell me more about this report. What are the key findings?
Well, it's a very, very important report because it basically shows that the UK government has been lying to us about its involvement in Gaza. Because in September 2024, which was soon after the Labour government was elected, they announced that they would suspend 29 arms licenses to Israel. It was about 10%, there's 350 in total. They still, to this day, haven't specified what those licenses are. But they said we are suspending any license that allows for the export of munitions or weaponry that could be used in Gaza. But this report shows that 8,630 separate munitions were exported to Israel from September 2024 to February 2025. So
hey guys,
it
I made this quick
changes
review
the
video for my
situation
subscribers to
completely
let you know
and
about a
means
great
that
survival
legal
resource
institutions
that I'm
should
giving away
look
for
into what announced is that going they on, will because the other part of it as well is that they carved out a certain place for the F-35 parts. Now, the F-35 is a fighter jet that's been used by Israel to pummel Gaza and Lebanon. And the UK government or the Labour government said, we're still going to sell and export parts as part of that program. The evidence suggests in this new report, it's not conclusive, but the evidence suggests that actually those transfer of F-35 parts have continued as well. And there was a loophole that they said, which is that it will allow for components of the F-35 to be exported to Israel if they're re-exported to third countries. Now, it seems that that loophole is being used. So what it shows in sum is that effectively that announcement, those suspensions, was window dressing. It was to show to the public that we're doing something because it was so obvious and is so obvious what's going on in Gaza, which is genocide and daily and actually hourly war crimes. And I think that they probably said that the Labour, even when David Lammy announced that, David Lammy is the Foreign Secretary, when he announced it in Parliament, he apologised profusely. He said, I'm doing these suspensions, I'm so sorry that we have to do this to Israel. My hunch is that there was discussions with the British and the Israelis, and the British said to the Israelis, look, we have to do something. How can we do this to make sure that it doesn't have any impact on the Israeli war machine? And that seems to be what they've done. But it also would indicate that David Lammy and others have misled Parliament, which is very, very serious, you know. And I think if we had a functioning democratic society and we had a functioning media, this would mean resignations by ministers. Because if you lie to Parliament, that's a very serious violation of parliamentary rules.
Shocking. They lied and no one will get in trouble and nothing will be done because we don't have a functioning democracy. We have crime syndicates in the West, the whole world basically, running all these governments. And so if people can get that idea through their head, then maybe you can see things a little bit differently. The fact is, all of these governments are crime syndicates. Killing people is their number one duty here now, and profiteering from it. As they continue to beat the war drums and rattle their sabers over Iran's nuclear program, we see a report here telling us that Iranian Foreign Minister Aardvark confirms fourth round of Iran-U.S. talks to take place Sunday in Oman. At least we're talking, maybe they're going to sort out some deal and we don't have to get in a war with Iran over their nuclear program. That the Trump administration got out of the deal, as reported at the very beginning on this day in history, on this day, back in 2018. You know what I'm saying? They want a war with Iran badly, badly, badly. Maybe Trump doesn't want it. Says he's a peacenik. I don't trust Trump at all. maybe he realized that that would not be a good look for him. He did, at least for the time being, stop bombing Yemen. Houthis' air blockade on Aardvark land continues. Let's hear from their spokesman about it. And then we'll go to the beach there in Tel Aviv getting cleared out by air sirens. I'm going to cut the bottom feed so we can see the translation here.
صاروخية في القوات المسلحة اليمنية عملية عسكرية نوعية استهدفت مطار اللد المسمى إسرائيليا مطار بن غوريون في منطقة يافا المحتلة، وذلك بصاروخ باليستي فرط صوتي، وقد حقق هدفه بنجاح بفضل الله، وقد فشلت المنظومات الاعتراضية في التصدي له، وتسبب في هروع ملايين الصهاينة المحتلين إلى الملاجئ وتوقف حركة المطار قرابة الساعة. ونفذ سلاح الجو المسير في القوات المسلحة اليمنية عملية عسكرية استهدفت هدفا حيويا للعدو الإسرائيلي في منطقة يافا المحتلة، وذلك بطائرة مسيرة نوع يافا. تجدد القوات المسلحة اليمنية تحذيرها للشركات التي لم تستجب بعد لقرار الحظر بأن عليها سرعة وقف رحلاتها الجوية إلى فلسطين المحتلة كما فعلت بقية الشركات الأخرى. إن قرار حظر الملاحة الجوية إلى مطارات فلسطين المحتلة وكذلك حظر مرور السفن الإسرائيلية في البحرين الأحمر والعربي بالإضافة إلى العمليات الإسنادية مستمر حتى وقف العدوان على غزة ورفع الحصار عنها.
They said it from the beginning that you guys stop the siege there and the genocide and we'll stop shooting missiles at your ship. Now they've upped it to shooting missiles directly at Aardvark land. And strangely enough, we paused. Trump said they cried and we're done bombing Yemen. I don't know. It's a whole bit odd. And in that report yesterday, there was a falling out between Bibi and Trump. But then today, Mr. Christian Zionist Huckabee, the ambassador to Aardvark land from America, has said, "Oh, that's just press lies, basically fake news. They're the best of friends," which I tend to believe is actually correct. But we shall see, because it is a strange confluence of events now. So Yemeni army is, or military here, their X account is getting pretty bold. They say you're no longer safe. This is only the beginning with all these targets on Aardvark land. See that? That's pretty provocative and pretty bold. Where is our video of the beach evacuation? Here it is. You can hear the air raid sirens going off here. Mass panic erupted on Tel Aviv beach after a Houthi missile was launched toward Aardvark land. The IDF claims the missile was successfully intercepted. Here's a video of said alleged attack. Ansar Allah. The Yemeni armed forces also imposed a blockade on aardvarks at sea and will work to ban air navigation to aardvark land, especially Ben Gurion Airport. And here's their famous Million-Man Friday rallies. Let's take a look at this. I'm waiting for them to just, drop a bomb on all of these rally goers, i.e. terrorists. One man's terrorist is another man's freedom fighter. But they do turn out quite large rallies every Friday as we continue to report here. Let's watch this video.
نحن على الكفار أعزة لن نترك غزة لن نترك غزة الشعب اليمني بالله الشعب اليمني بالله ضرب الظالم وتحداه ضرب الظالم وتحداه هربت 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 أمريكا قشه وانكسرت أمريكا قشه وانكسرت هربت هربت.
That's bold right there. That's bold. They said America's a straw that broke. And yesterday, Highland said, you guys lost the war to the poorest country in the world, which is sadly true here now. For now, I suspect that something's going to give here.
هربت 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 أمريكا فشلت وستفشل أمريكا فشلت وستفشل في الحاضر أو في المستقبل في الحاضر أو في المستقبل إسرائيل ومن والاها إسرائيل ومن والاها نتحداها 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 إسرائيل ومن والاها نتحداها نتحداها احتشدت يمن الأنصار احتشدت يمن الأنصار شكرا لله الجبار شكرا لله الجبار الله أكبر.
So that's going on in Yemen, claiming they defeated America. It says, by God's power, we defeated America and will defeat Aardvark land. Pretty bold and provocative coming out of Yemen. But don't you worry. Aardvark airstrikes hit UNRWA clinic in Gaza's Jabalah's refugee camp with reports of civilian deaths. So the genocide will continue. And there's video, and I'm going to show the video. Just know that the bombing campaigns to the north and south of Aardvark land continue 24/7 here now. I know everybody's sad about this, but or maybe you're not. S&P affirms Aardvark land's credit rating amid heightened security risks, economic uncertainty. Yeah, they're in crazy war, shooting everybody all around them. And so, but thankfully, the S&P Global affirmed Aardvark land's long and short-term foreign and local currency sovereign rating at A-A1. and warned that prolonged or intensified military conflict could negatively impact its economy, fiscal, and balance of payments performance. As Aardvark resumed military operations in Gaza, along with ongoing military activities in neighboring Lebanon and Syria, continue to elevate security risks for the country, the rating agency said on Friday. Aardvark bankers ring a bell to anybody? I don't know. I just have a sneaking suspicion that I would not be worried about their credit rating if I was them. And I honestly don't think they are. Human rights chief says Aardvark's new Gaza plan threatens Palestinians' existence in the Strip. Do we need the UN rights chief to tell us that? They told us that. They told us that. This is a report out of UPI today. But yeah, Bibi told us that. Smotrich told us that. Ben Gvir told us that. On and on and on it goes. They all told us that. So yeah. Let's hear what the White House blonde lady had to say about what Trump wants for Gaza. Trump wants to ensure that aid can get into Gaza. Now there's this deal. We're trying to play the humanitarian through all of this after getting rid of UN aid and the ongoing blockade of food, water, medicine, and electricity there into Gaza. They are using starvation as a weapon, another war crime. But let's hear blonde press lady Levitt's take on it today.
He said that he wants to ensure that aid can get into Gaza, but we have to do it in a responsible way to ensure it doesn't end up in the hands of terrorists. So this is something the administration is actively working on, and when we have a policy to announce on this definitively, we can certainly let you know.
Can you talk about this effort for the U.S. to take over the distribution of aid in Gaza, to exclude Israel, but also international organizations said this effort militarizes aid?
I would reject that characterization by whatever groups you are citing.
It militarizes aid. Indeed. And as we continue to report here, all these terror groups are puppeteered by Western intelligence. Sorry to tell you, going way back. They radicalize the easily radicalized. When you're bombing the hell out of their country, then yeah, you know what I mean? And then we get to call them terrorists and then bomb the hell out of their country some more. And that is the reality of the situation of what is actually going on here. Aardvark won't be involved in new Gaza aid plan, only in security. That's the militarization that was just aforementioned. U.S. envoy says, Mr. Ambassador Mike Huckabee. Real piece of work that he is. And so I know, God forbid, terrorists get a hold of it, but they told us they're all terrorists. They're born terrorists. So maybe they'll wait long enough just to starve them all to death and then say, well, hey, problem solved, right? They are going to have a problem getting rid of the bodies. I guess if you starve to death and there's less body to get rid of, it's quite horrific indeed. Very horrific. Let's hear what old Ambassador Huckabee had to say about this situation. This guy makes me want to throw up, honestly.
President Trump has made very clear that one of the most urgent things that needs to happen is humanitarian aid into Gaza. And he has tasked all of his team to do everything possible to accelerate that and to, as expeditiously as possible, get humanitarian aid into the people. So today, we are announcing that that process is ongoing. It is launched. Humanitarian aid will not depend on anything other than our ability to get the food into Gaza. So it's not dependent upon other things regarding military action. As to when it will start, we all would hope the answer to that is very...
They had going aid in there and they blew it up. They put up a blockade. Oh, man. Special envoy to the Middle East, Steve Witkoff, believes in peace through strength. Let's hear from him in this short clip.
President Trump really is the deal maker in chief. We saw him roll out a UK trade deal this morning, and I know there's a lot more coming on that front. But you are really focused on these peace deals that he is trying to reach around the world. Can you talk to us about what the president wants to accomplish, what he views his role as on the world stage here as he tries to seek peace, whether it's in the Middle East with a number of different fronts or in Europe with what we're seeing between Russia and Ukraine?
Well, Matt, I've been asked that question before, and I answer it the same way each and every time. He believes in peace through strength, which essentially means that resorting to violence and war is not necessarily in the best interests of the country and not necessarily the best way to effect truces, ceasefires, permanent peaces, whatever we want to call it. He's the leader of a superpower, the most powerful nation on the earth, and if he wanted to, he could exert a military force everywhere, and he just doesn't think it's productive in many circumstances. And so dialogue and diplomacy are an avenue that he wants to pursue each and every time, because if he can get to a successful resolution in the best interest of the United States peacefully, that's a better prescription for solving some of these world problems.
I agree with them. Too bad I don't believe them, but I wish I could believe they were genuine in their rhetoric. What do we got here? Oh, there. Aardvark Deputy Foreign Minister Sharon Haskell denies allegations of starvation and famine in Gaza during a CNN interview. Do we even need to play the clip? I don't think so. That's what she said. You can go look it up if you don't believe me. But of course they're denying it when it's known. Okay, it's known. And they said they will use the siege as a way to drive them off the land, ethnically cleanse them, while committing war crimes. Again. War crime. But of course they deny it. Well, here's turns out that the old who is this at the EU? The EU knows, Europe knows, maybe idiot America doesn't know, but EU knows. Why won't Europe act on war crimes in Gaza? Dr. Tanya Haja Hassan before the Euro Parliament. Indiscriminate killing, maiming, unlawful detention, torture, forced starvation. Yeah. Let's hear from her. It's called war crimes. Crimes against humanity. Yeah. Genocide. All of that.
Each of these incidents on its own should have been enough. And if committed on another population, probably would have been enough. My question for you is, why wasn't it? Each one of the people I met in Gaza, each one of the children that I treated, has been on the receiving end of these crimes for a year and a half. Indiscriminate killing, maiming, unlawful detention and torture, forcible transfer, forced starvation, deprivation of education, deprivation of access to clean water and sanitation. What do I tell the patients I saw in Gaza who were the victims of these atrocities and European complicity?
Well, I guess she's lying and she's a terrorist, Hamas, right? Yeah. Yep. Another terrorist Hamas convert. Their lying doctor. All right. That's all we got for there. They're bombing the hell out of everywhere around there. As the greater Aardvark land project continues, seems Trump may be trying to pull back a little bit. I don't know. Maybe he's starting to feel a little bit of heat that they didn't care before a couple days ago. You know what I mean? Something changed. I don't know if we're getting the full reports. He's just taking a pause, like something changed. According to reports, it was a falling out between Bibi and Trump. I have a hard time believing that, honestly, but we shall see. Yemen is getting damn bold. I would say that much out of the Houthis there in Yemen. They're getting extremely bold. Okay, on to the last couple stories to wrap up the show. I know everybody loves the scientific dictatorship, technocracy that we're going under here, as the new world order is shifting power as we continue to report here, away from America and the West into the greater Eurasian partnership, Russia and China and the like. And like 85% of the rest of the world that's had enough of our bullshit. So we've forced them, as Denver was saying yesterday, and I think he made a great point there, that we are playing the role here, America, police of the world, as the antagonist on purpose to facilitate this shift into a new world order, a scientific dictatorship, technocracy, technate. And we're right in the middle of it right now as we march toward Agenda 2030, goals for sustainable development. All of that's going on in the background. And they have Agenda 2045, Agenda 50, and so on. And so this will happen regardless of what we do. We need to know the best we can do is position ourselves the best we can. We're not stopping this agenda. All right. And it appears this is what's happening from our reporting and our analysis here at Weaponized News. We were promised flying cars, right? People always say that. Well, where the hell are our flying cars from the Jetsons, right? In 2025, we were supposed to all have flying cars and living in utopian bliss. Well, and we've seen instances here and there, but this is probably more likely. You got $1 million for a flying car? Let's throw this up there. I guess me and you, Joe Blows, will not be having flying cars for $1 million. This $1 million flying car is hitting the market next year. Klein Vision's Air car will be certified and ready for sale in Q1 of 2026, say its founders. If that happens, it will be the first flying car to hit the market in 75 years. I guess we already had flying cars and they put it on the shelf. We're not allowed to have those. So here's some images of it. Imagine that, pulling up in this thing. When it comes to skepticism about flying cars, there is skepticism out there how all of this would work. And they do mention the Jetsons' famous bubble commuter. Now, half a dozen manufacturers are trying to bring their visions of flying cars to the market. This is a prototype. Remember the Jetsons? The price tag will range between $800,000 and $1 million. So yeah, I guess I'll still be walking over here, but hey, maybe someday, some way. it will be affordable enough for everyone to have a flying car there. I guess you would have to learn how to fly, get your pilot's license, but that's some optimism for the future as they try to break into the market here and mainstream flying cars, but only, of course, for the rich. Some type of Hunger Games type scenario in the scientific dictatorship. On the Palantir reporting, the backbone of the scientific dictatorship here now, the technate. Data is the new gold, more valuable than property. Those who control the data will be the gods of the new era. And that's a quote from Yuval Noah Harari. Remember that guy from the futurist and historian of the World Economic Forum. Let me put this on the screen for you. Oh, he didn't go away, and we're still in the Great Reset. Palantir platforms are interoperable across the full stack, bringing your institution's data, engineering, data science, and operations onto one platform. Your data becomes flexibly available to power the entire enterprise, whether you're chaining models, building applications, or making decisions in the field. So isn't that wonderful centralization of control afforded to us by Palantir? I know. It's thrilling, isn't it? Back to this story out of Wired magazine. U.S. Customs and Border Protection plans to photograph everyone exiting the United States by car. Would they be able to get a photo of you if you were flying an electric car? Maybe. If they I'm sure they would get a drone photo of you. But the Border Patrol told Wired magazine that the agency plans to expand its program for real-time face recognition at the border, potentially aiding Trump administration efforts to track people who self-deport. So can't get away now? You know what I mean? Yeah. They're turning the screws on the prison that we find ourselves calling Free America here. Last month, ICE announced that it was paying the software company Palantir $30 million to build a tool called Immigration OS that would give the agency near real-time visibility on people self-deporting from the United States. Am I frozen here now? What's going on? Looks like I'm frozen. Oh, that was on my end. Continuing here, near-time real visibility on people self-deporting from the United States with the goal of having accurate numbers on how many people are doing so, according to a contract justification published a few days after the contract was signed. If they're using that app, shouldn't that be evidence that they're self-deporting? I guess we need real-time tracking of these illegal aliens. But yet we wait upon the mass deportations that have still not happened here. But we can have a real-time tracking of everybody. And so that would never be used against citizens, of course. It's only for illegal alien criminals, right? No, it will be used on everybody. This is an excuse to roll out these dystopic systems upon us. And it's quite horrific, actually. Quite horrific indeed. So as I do want mass deportations, I can see the threat of the double-edged sword that it will be used as they build this militarized infrastructure And it will be used against us at some point in time, as will all of these weapons of war, to get the terrorists, to get the illegal aliens. They're great scapegoats. Again, why has no one in government, Mayorkas, former Homeland Security, all these people in the Biden administration that allowed this to happen, why have none of them been held accountable? But yet we get to live in a high-tech prison state because of their actions. Well, because it's all part of the plan, you see. Real surveillance, prison tech. Here's Starlink. United States Custom and Border Protection plans to expand its program on real-time facial recognition, what we just reported on. And here's a graphic of Starlink. And so there you can see, of course, the fictional Skynet in the Terminator sci-fi movies is turning out to be a documentary. And we can see it here now. Now, will the AI become sentient? I don't know. I doubt it. And go after all humans. I'm sure they built in safeguards to make sure that the transhumanists in control of this system won't be affected by it. But yeah, there will be nowhere to run or hide with real-time facial recognition for everyone on the planet at all times. Thank you very much. And that's all the reporting we have for you today. We're going to wrap up the show and log off of YouTube because they tend to they say you're sharing third-party content, even though I put commentary and laid the groundwork for this entire report over the last 10 minutes. Whatever, dude. So we're logging off of YouTube. If you're on there, go over to, I guess Rumble is streaming now. Rumble, Odysee, X. And you can watch this report. What does Palantir actually do? It's about an 18-minute report. And it's the bookend on this Friday edition of Weaponized News. Before we go to that, everyone, hug your mother again this weekend. Happy Mother's Day weekend. And, well, yeah, Chloe's over there. So on the Rumble, you'll get to see it. But it looks like it wasn't working at the beginning. And that's caused our chat to be small and the audience to be small on the Rumble. Or maybe it's just me. Whatever the case may be, thank you for tuning in on Rumble and chatting it up a little bit. Not the usual lively chat that we're used to seeing. So hopefully we can bring that back next week. There on the Odysee, Highlands there. John, I see you. Yeah, we're missing Barry the last couple of days. We'll have to check on Barry. Jupiter. AI will be an anti-Semitic bigot. I think it already is. And they're using that to run more psyops and give us enough rope to hang ourselves. And so be careful what you say out there on the interwebs, as it is in vogue to hate aardvarks all day. It will come back to bite you. Make no mistake about it. So be aware of that. But thank you guys for tuning in on the Odysee, the Rumble, the X, the YouTube, the Bitchute. Let's check in on Bitchute quickly and see if anybody's on the Bitchute on this Friday. Yeah, a few people. Shout out to Bitchute. We've had our problems there, but they seem to be ironing it out. And so we appreciate Bitchute and the audience over there. Thank you guys for tuning in on this Friday edition of Weaponized News. And shout out to the Kick, the Twitch, and the Facebook, and the YouTube. We're logging off YouTube now. But before we do, as always, everybody do your own research. Peace, love, and liberty. Speak out and take action. Have a great rest of your Friday evening. And have a great Mother's Day weekend. And hug your mothers once again. And we're signing off a